And today we will be discussing about mental toughness and resilience. Is resilience something that is not changing, or something an inborn trait, or it can be developed? And what we can do in order to proceed when everything resists and there are a lot of challenges. Every person has ever tried to do something meaningful and faced resistance, setbacks, challenges, and the moment when everything seems to be resisting, pushing back, and you have to decide whether to continue or quit. And tonight we are going to discuss about it and which strategies people are using, those who are successful and who are able to succeed despite challenges, despite setbacks. So, what is mental toughness? What is resilience? And what is not? Uh, what it isn't is suppressing emotions, never feeling fear, trying to avoid emotions, distracting, being hard on yourself, being impervious to difficulty. Because when people are not able to express and accept their emotions, or to notice their emotions, these emotions are impacting them in a negative way, in a negative life, and it can be more difficult to continue during the stress, to be focused on your work. However, when people are able to identify, to understand their emotions, and to find healthy ways of expressing them, it's easier to identify your goals, your aims, and to be able to continue and to take steps even when things get hard. And what is actually mental resilience? According to Lauren Jones, its ability to perform at or near your best more often across wider range of circumstances. So many people find themselves making progress and taking steps towards their goals when conditions are easy, when everything is fine, and they are prospering, they are making progress. However, when there are setbacks, when there are difficulties or stressful moments, it gets more difficult to continue to make progress. So there are several factors that are contributing to their success and to the ability to continue with their goals even when life gets hard. So resilience is not absence of difficulty, because anyone has problems, challenges at certain levels of their life. However, it's an ability to continue to perform despite these challenges and difficulties. And there are several factors that are contributing to this ability to take steps and to continue to focus on your work or on your goals during difficult times. One of them is the factor of control. This means believing you can influence events and outcomes. For instance, I often see it with my clients when people are facing difficulties, traumas, negative experiences. It's important to notice which thoughts you have regarding the event or difficulty, stress you are having, and what meaning are you making from difficulties and these negative events. Because if people are able, when people are believing that there are still things they can change, that there is still, they are having a degree of control, it's easier for them to heal, to make progress, and to continue. Whereas if person doesn't believe that they can make any change, or they cannot control the situation at all, then that's the point where they got stuck, and mental challenges are increasing and symptoms are increasing. Therefore, anytime when you are noticing that you feel stuck, or when there are stressful times, noticing the thoughts that you have regarding this event that or a challenge that you are having, and trying to see it from different perspective, and trying to change your relationship with the event, or trying to make different meanings from it that would better serve and better help you to improve, to heal, and to achieve your goals, can be the first point where you can start. So first of all, noticing your thoughts, noticing your feelings, and noticing which beliefs you have regarding certain challenges, and how do you perceive the challenge, can be a starting point. For instance, at the times of failure or difficulties, you can either see it as an opportunity for you to learn, to grow, to develop your skills, or something that is damaging your life or considerably impacting you. And actually, emotional impact can be significantly decreased. Emotional harm can be significantly decreased even during the times when people are having this, when they are in the same circumstances, according to the way they perceive the challenges, difficulties considerably change their reaction, their behaviors, and the impact of dramatic event or stress on them. For instance, in my country, there were a lot of cases of earthquakes, and some people recover faster, some people adapt faster, whereas others, for the others, it's more like it's influencing them more. And I'm noticing that when our people are believing that they can create change, that there are still things they can change, they can control, they are easier recovering, healing, finding ways of adapting and finding solutions. And the second factor is commitment, keeping promises to yourself, following through. And if, for instance, there are challenges with discipline or challenges with taking action, finding what is the point of stuckness, and what are some times when you are able to take action, what's actually keeping you, holding you back from taking action, and what was helpful for you to make progress, to take steps even when you were feeling stuck. Trying to be able to be committed and understanding points of stuckness and understanding your resources, your capabilities, qualities, features that you can use to unstuck yourself and to be consistent, disciplined, and constantly taking action that would serve according to your meaning, according to your values. This is the second factor. And challenges, viewing difficulties, opportunity, not a threat. And for instance, I'm noticing when kids, most of them, there are some points when it's difficult for them to learn or to develop certain skill. And if a child sees this as an opportunity to learn, and this is a point that where they are learning something, then it gets easier for them to learn a skill, to develop a skill, to learn something new. But if a person sees a stress or challenging event as something catastrophic or as a threat, then this would impact their emotions. Maybe they would feel anxious, it would be difficult to concentrate, or it would cause avoidance. Therefore, again, increasing your awareness about your perception of time, perception of difficulties, stressors is another important factor that contributes to your progress. And being able to see the circumstances from different perspectives and to develop healthier and more useful relationships with the stressors, challenges is another factor that can considerably help you to increase your resilience. And another factor is self-esteem, confidence, self-belief, self-efficacy, and interpersonal assertiveness. So whether or not you are believing that you are capable, whether or not you are believing in your own resilience, because according to a lot of research, when people are able to believe that they can cope with situations, that they can generate solutions, or they can handle situations, there is a considerable emotional impact. And when people are able to experience positive emotions, it makes it more likely for them to find solutions, to cope with situations, to generate new perspectives, and to be successful and to stay resilient. And according to Anne Maston, resilience is ordinary, not something that is extraordinary. And it's not a special capacity rare people possess, but it's a common human process built from ordinary adaptive systems. So there is nothing such as, like, resilience is not something that is fixed or stable or that cannot be changed or cannot be developed. Even if you think that your resilience is not very high, everyone has a chance to learn, to develop new skills, to research and to find new solutions for themselves, to understand themselves better and to better cope with challenges. And they can always learn how to cope with challenges better, how to preserve yourself and to stay calm during difficulties. And the human brain is designed in a manner that it's constantly developing, learning new things, and that is also called neuroplasticity. And because of it, we're all able to cope better with stress, and we are capable of helping ourselves. And even at the times when we cannot change circumstances or environments, we can change how we relate to difficulties, how we relate to problems, and this creates a sense of freedom, psychological freedom, and calmness and resilience. For instance, and also according to research and articles, there are other several factors that can be used to increase people's resilience. One of them is a social support. For instance, again, in the cases of traumas or difficulties, if people are able to connect with social support, if they can meet with people, if they have sufficient social support, they are being less impacted by troubles, traumas, difficulties, and can better cope and faster recover, heal. Because all of us, like humans, need humans in order to heal, and it's one of greatest factors that contributes to healing. And all of mental challenges are considerably increasing when people are left alone, when they are living alone. For instance, depression, anxiety, PTSD factors, suicidality, all of them are increasing when our people isolated and staying alone. And that's why this can be one of factors that you can play with, and you can experiment. For instance, especially in the cases with depression, oftentimes people want to isolate themselves, they want to stay alone. However, not listening to that voice or to what your brain says and trying to do contrary to what your brain says can help you to experiment and to find out that when you are with the people whom you value, whom you care about, or with whom you feel good, social factor can considerably help you to heal, to feel better, to improve your mood, and to increase your resilience, and to help you to better cope with stress. And also when there were conducted several researches, and when people were able to meet with each other, to connect, there are certain hormones that are produced in humans' brain that help to better cope with stress, with depression, with challenges. Therefore, social factor is very important for mental health and for resilience. And the second factor is meaning making, finding purpose within difficulty, not denying it. So also again, people can experience similar situations, similar challenges, but everyone is impacted differently. And one of factors contributing to resilience is what meaning do we make of challenges or problems that we have, and which thoughts we have about it. And when people are able to create meaning for them or see their situation from different perspectives, then stress would impact them less, and even difficulties can be used as tools in order to grow, to develop, to become stronger, or pain can be used as a factor to influence others, to motivate others, to help others. So it's most about how we see the challenges, how we see the problems, and what meaning we make from them. And self-efficacy, believe that your actions can influence outcomes. Our beliefs and thoughts are very important, because when we don't notice them, we can act on autopilot, and maybe there are certain behaviors that we are acting on autopilot. So noticing which thoughts we have about ourselves, about our abilities, can be another point that would start to change. Oftentimes I notice that people might have some self-limiting thoughts, or thinking that they are not capable, or they are failures, and this would impact their mood and consequently behavior. And for instance, if a person thinks that they are a failure or they are incapable, this would make them less likely to take risks, to try things, or to learn something about. When they have more flexibility about their identity, and when they notice, for instance, when they remind themselves about times when they succeeded, when they remind themselves that there is not just one version of them, not just one sense of self, but we have different senses of self, we have different roles. For instance, all of us, we are either mothers, fathers, grandparents or grandchildren, someone's kids, we are someone's sisters, brothers, and we have our roles in our career. We are administrators, we are managers, we are having different roles related with our jobs and careers, and at the same time we are students, we are teachers, and so we have different roles in life. And when people stay stuck, these are generally situations when they are having a low, rigid sense of self, and they are just paying attention to one of their roles. However, there can be evidence of success in their other roles. For instance, somebody can be very successful mother, but because of it, there can be some challenges with pursuing her career. And if she thinks that she is a failure just because she couldn't perform well in her career, she can remind herself about other roles where she succeeded, and she can use the same skills that she used in the areas where she was successful, and carry those skills and features into other points and other areas where she is facing current challenges. So expanding the sense of self, noticing where we put our attention, noticing thoughts, and noticing times when we succeeded, and what we used in order to succeed, are some factors that we can use in order to stay resilient and for the stress to impact us less. And another important factor is emotional regulation, ability to manage your emotions, to notice your emotions, and work with emotional regulations. And people who are able to regulate their emotions, who can stay calm, can better cope with stress, with panic, and can succeed easily, because when we are under stress, our brain is being impacted by strong emotions, and it's being overreactive, and even slightest stress can impact us considerably. But when people are able to notice their thoughts, their feelings, and to accept them and open space for them, especially those who are meditating, who know mindfulness techniques, or know how to regulate their emotions, they can stay calmer, which would make them more likely to make better decisions, which would make them easier to focus, to plan, and to take steps even during times of stress or difficult feelings. And flexible thinking, reappraisal, being able to see events, experiences from different perspectives, strategy adjustment. For instance, if there is a stuckness point, and trying to solve the problem from different perspectives, using different strategies, and trying to adjust environment tools is another factor that contributes to resilience. And there is a term called post-traumatic growth, developed by Tedel and Calhoun. When adversity arises, if a person has genuinely survived and processed, this can produce lasting psychological growth across 5 domains of people's life. First of them, personal strength, new possibilities, deeper relationships, appreciation for life, and spiritual change. So even if some problems, traumas, difficulties are seen as something that considerably negatively impacting their life, there are also cases when negative experiences and traumas are able to make people's lives better, and they bounce back stronger, and their resilience is increasing, and they can better cope with challenges. So according to this research, post-traumatic growth, moments of difficulties are becoming the moments when people can better understand their beliefs, their thoughts themselves, and they can find their beliefs, and their spiritual world can strengthen. And also it's a point where people start to appreciate life and are being able to create deeper relationships, most probably because of feeling pain or difficult feelings. Their empathy levels are increasing and they are able to understand other people's pain and other people's perspectives better. And this also might be making them more patient, being able to be more patient towards other people, towards other creatures, animals, for instance. And it can open new possibilities, like behind every adversity there are also parallel realities, and with every difficulty there would be also an ease, and being able to see these new possibilities can open up new ways and new strengths. Even though if it seems that difficulties and traumas, problems are causing problems, mental challenges, but at the same time they can be used as resources to heal, to become stronger, and it's more about what meaning we make from these challenges. And according to another research conducted by Angela Duckworth from University of Pennsylvania, she has developed a concept of greed, and she has argued that greed is generally a combination of perseverance and passion for long-term goals. And she predicted West Point retention better than all candidates score. And she predicted spelling bee winners. And she found that achievement is something that is multiplication of talent with effort. So when people are able to stay resilient and successful, it's not just about their talent or about their qualities, but also when people are able to identify their talents, their passions, and when they can multiply it with efforts, hard working. These are the times when the peak productivity is seen, and effort appears twice when a person is learning skills and making skill productive, and these are the points where people can stay the strongest and can be the most successful, most productive, and stay resilient. And grit for the right goal is important in order for the goal to be successful long term, and in order for the person to stay motivated even in the faces of difficulties and setbacks. It's important to identify, determine a goal that is aligned with your meaning, and building on strengths, and noticing what's lacking, learning new skills, and serving something that genuinely matters for you, because there would be inevitable obstacles, problems, and if your goal is not something that is related with your meaning or something that you value, people get unmotivated in the halfway when the setbacks arise. And persevering with fundamental misalignment is not great, it's sunk cost thinking. So what are some tools that you can use to stay resilient, to increase your resilience? Is adversity response protocol. You can plan in advance when things get difficult, when there would be difficulties. What would you do? Which course of action you can take? Whom can you contact? How is your general self-talk at the times when there are difficulties, and how you would like to respond to yourself instead? What are some times when you were able to be self-compassionate, when you could approach yourself with compassion? What was helping you? What was making that possible? And how you can carry this wisdom and resilience at the times of difficulties? If, for instance, the problems, your challenges were still here, but you were able to create more kind relationship with yourself, when you could love yourself, what could be different? What would be the very first sign that you are being kind, you are loving yourself, you are being compassionate? And what small action will you take to maintain forward movement And pre-deciding when regulated means it's available when dysregulated. It's found as an important source of motivation and resilience during the times of setbacks. And meaning-making practice. For any current adversity, writing for 15 minutes, what might this difficulty be developing in me? What are some positive impact of this difficulty on me? What would I know on the other side? What story could I tell that would make it meaningful? And this would increase your empathy levels, your ability to see from different perspectives, and to see even when things feel very tough or there are a lot of challenges. This would help you to motivate yourself and to create less suffering from the setbacks and challenges. And resilience network audit. Identify 3-5 people who you could genuinely reach out during serious difficulty. And if this list is short, building your resilience network is the highest priority resilience investment. Social support is #1 predictor. And making this list in advance can help to realize your resources, that you're not alone, that there are people who might help you, who are available for you. And even if you will not be able to reach out, but at least thinking about them, thinking about your resources can considerably make suffering less impactful. And grit compass. Is this goal genuinely yours? Does pursuing it feel meaningful even when it's difficult? And are you willing to work toward things for yes? And can you identify specific why, what makes it worth the difficulty? If yes, it's a great worthy goal. And anytime when you face with the setback, you can remind yourself of your why and why you are pursuing this, why you are trying to achieve it, what difference can it create in your life, in other people's lives. And if you were able to stay resilient more often, if you could see this resilient version of you more often, what difference can it create, and how your life would look like in 5 years, 10 years. So what we have discussed so far, resilience is not a fixed trait. You either have it or don't. It's a capacity to build from ordinary resources such as relationships, meaning, skills, and willingness to keep going, awareness of your thoughts, feelings, and ability to notice your thoughts, to be able to generate different perspectives, and to be able to regulate your feelings, and a lot of other factors that can contribute to your resilience. And you can slowly try to use several of these strategies if you want to increase your resilience and your willingness to keep going even when everything resists, and noticing the points that you can control, where you can create change. And I think that this session was helpful for you. If you have any questions, please welcome to leave your questions in the comments. Thank you for your time. Thank you for coming. See you in the next sessions, and take good care of yourself.